Imagine it is the year 250 AD. You are a baker in the Supura district of Rome. You have worked 12 hours over a scorching oven to provide bread for the city. At the end of the days, a soldier hands you a denarius, the silver coin that, for centuries, has been the bedrock of global trade. But as you hold it, your heart sinks. It is lighter than the ones your father earned. It has a strange, greasy texture. You scratch the surface with a knife, and instead of gleaming white silver, a sickly brownish-orange copper stares back at you. You have just been shaved. Not by a thief in an alleyway, but by the emperor himself. Fast forward to today, you are standing in the snack aisle. You grab a bag of your favorite pretzels. The price tag says $4.99, the same as it was 6 months ago. But as you lift the bag, it feels airy. You open it, find a handful of pretzels huddling at the bottom of a plastic cavern. You are experiencing a silver shave in real time. This is not just a corporate trick. It is a symptom of a dying currency. Today on Money Echoes, we are pulling back the curtain on the 2,000-year-old cycle of the shaved coin. We will explore how Rome's desperate attempt to fund its overextended empire mirrors our modern struggle with the cost of living, and why, once the shaving starts, it almost never stops until the system collapses. To understand the tragedy of the fall, we have to understand the glory of the rise. At the height of the Pax Romana, the Roman piece, the denarius was the US dollar of its day. Whether you were in London, Alexandria, or Jerusalem, that small silver coin was a universal language. Under Emperor Augustus, the denarius was nearly pure silver. It was a promise. When a Roman citizen held that coin, they knew exactly what it was worth: the labor of a day, a certain amount of grain, or a gallon of wine. This stability allowed Rome to build roads that spanned continents and aqueducts that defied gravity. But stability is expensive. By the late 2nd century, the subscription cost of being an empire was spiraling out of control. Rome had a massive standing army that demanded higher pay. It had a bloated bureaucracy. It had bread and circuses, massive social welfare programs to keep the Roman mob from revolting. The Roman treasury was bleeding. They had two choices: cut spending, which would mean a coup or a riot, or raise taxes, which would stifle the economy. Then Emperor Septimius Severus found a third way, a magic trick, a shortcut. He decided that if he did not have enough silver to pay his debts, he would simply invent it. This is where the silver shave begins. The process is called debasement. The emperor ordered the mints to melt down the pure silver denarii. But when they recast them, they added a little bit of copper, then a little bit more. By the time Severus was done, the silver content had dropped to 75%. Think of it like a bartender watering down the whiskey. If he waters it down by 10%, most people will not notice, and he gets to sell 10% more drinks. It is pure profit, or so it seems. Once the emperors tasted the free money of debasement, they could not stop. It became an addiction. Every time there was a new war or a new monument to build, they just added more copper to the mix. By the year 270 AD, under Emperor Gallienus, the denarius, once 95% silver, was now 0.5% silver. It was a copper coin with a silver wash, a thin coating of silver that would literally rub off in your pocket after a few days of use. This had a devastating effect on the psychology of the Roman people. Imagine going to work for a silver coin, only to realize by lunchtime that your pay is essentially a piece of painted junk. Merchants are not stupid. They realized the coins were worthless, so they did the only logical thing. They raised their prices. If the coin has half the silver, the bread costs twice as many coins. This is the birth of hyperinflation. In some parts of the empire, the price of wheat rose by 1,000%. The Roman middle class was wiped out. Savings were vaporized. The silver shave had turned the world's most powerful economy into a giant game of pretend. We have computers now. We have the Federal Reserve. We do not melt coins in vats. And you are right. We do not use fire and copper anymore. We use digital bits and quantitative easing. But the logic is identical. When a government prints trillions of dollars to cover its debts, it is watering down every dollar already in your bank account. It is the digital version of adding copper to the silver vat. But here is where the silver shave gets sneaky in the 21st century. Companies know that if they raise the price of a gallon of milk from $3 to $7, there will be an outcry. People will protest. Politicians will hold hearings. So, they use the Roman trick. They shave the product instead. Think about the pound of coffee. For decades, a standard tin of coffee was 16 ounces. Then it became 13 ounces. Now, many are 11 or 12 ounces. The price stayed at $10. If you are not looking at the fine print, you think inflation is zero. But in reality, you just paid 25% more per ounce. The emperor shaved your coffee beans. Why did Rome fall? Historians argue about barbarians and lead pipes, but economists point to the silver shave. When the money failed, the empire's social contract dissolved. Soldiers refused to fight for copper coins. Farmers stopped selling their grain to the cities because the money was not worth the effort to grow the food. The complex trade networks that fed millions collapsed into local barter systems. When we see shrinkflation today, when we'll see the quality of our goods dropping while the cost of living climbs, we are seeing the fraying of our own social contract. It leads to a low-trust society. You stop trusting the brand of cereal you have bought for 20 years. You stop trusting the government's inflation statistics. You start feeling like the world is getting cheaper and flimsier. Because it is, just as Rome transitioned from solid marble and pure silver to painted wood and copper-washed coins, we are transitioning into an era of disposable value. Everything is designed to look like its former self, while being a shadow of its former quality. So, what is the lesson of the silver shave? It is that inflation is never just prices going up. It is a moral issue. It is a slow, quiet transfer of wealth from the person who earns the money to the person who creates the money. The Romans did not have the internet. They did not have 24-hour news cycles, but they knew when they were being cheated. It took them 200 years to realize the silver was gone. Today, with the speed of information, we do not have that long. The next time you are at the store, do not just look at the price tag. Look at the weight. Look at the ingredients. Look for the copper hiding under the silver. Because the echoes of Rome are not just in the history books. They are in your grocery cart. If you found this story valuable, subscribe to the Money Echoes. We are digging through the ruins of the past to find the blueprints for your financial future. What is the most blatant example of the silver shave you have seen lately? Let us know in the comments. Let us start the conversation. History does not just repeat, it rhymes. So make sure you are listening for the next Money Echoes. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.